Hi friends, so welcome to the class. So today we'll be talking about trying to recap the whole thing that we have studied in our entire course. We will be winding up this unit with a case study, right? So what have we done in B2B? How B2B is different from B2C? We have understood that why B2B marketing is even important, right? And how big a role it plays. So we have seen that. So B2B has a much larger scope in comparison, right, to many of the myths that people have in their mind that B2B is not so big as the B2C, but it is wrong. In fact, B2B has a larger scope. So all these things we understood during our lectures, and then we talked about various aspects of the B2B. How do you promote? How do you design your product? What kind of pricing mechanisms can you use in a B2B case? What is the difference between the B2B and the B2C? In terms of the characteristics of the product also, and how do you manage the sales, whether it's a direct sales or you want to go through the how do you want to promote your product through the online social media or the direct marketing approach. So what kind of strategies the company needs to adopt? So we have seen that B2B is has a lot of difference from B2C in the purely because the B2B is not a impulsive market. It's a purely a rational market, right? So a market where people are intelligent, they have a understanding of their own, they know what they are doing, and they don't worry by small aspects of the business, right? So they look at a longer perspective. For example, when we talk about the price of a product, we don't talk about the price on a shorter span of time. So we say what is the total cost of ownership, not the price that we are talking initially. Okay. So in all these aspects, B2B is very different from B2C, right? And we also understood in the last lecture where we discussed about how you might have a very good strategy, but if until unless you implement it well, the product or the service might fail, right? So there have been numerous examples where we have seen, like for example, a case of Skype, where during COVID, most of the companies they did well, but Skype, which already had a first mover advantage, right? But they could not make the most of the COVID situation, right? Rather, companies like Cisco WebEx and Zoom and Google Hangout and all, they did better, right? So what happened? Why did Skype not do that, right? So there are so many products in this world and so many technical products where you have seen such kind of things have happened. Either the strategy was wrong or the implementation was wrong, right? And if something is not clear, then we have to understand, look at it from a control mechanism. So what is the control mechanism and how do you check? Through the control you kind of check, right, whether you are going on the right way or not. So those control mechanisms are also important, which in the last class we discussed, right? So how do you manage that? And once you know okay, where you are going wrong, they can correct it, right? So all this today we will be winding up through a last one, we can recap and wind up is through a case study, right? So what is this case study? A comprehensive case study. I have said TZ and company. So Telezoo and company is a case, a company which is into in the telecommunication business, right? So what it says, the case is about this company Telezoo, which says that the industry it is working is in the telecommunication industry, which spends almost 1.3 trillion dollars to purchase goods and services, right? Roughly 900 billion dollars, which is 69% of the total, is spent for B2B purchases or B2G purchase, business to government purchases, right? The structure of the market is is very different. Okay. Now, for example, if you see, large businesses account for 35%, small businesses account for 15%, and the medium kind of businesses, right, medium businesses, they account for almost 50% of the total business, right. So in terms of this is by the market by firm size. Then when you look at it from the offering type, the high end equipment category is almost 15%, low end equipments is 17%, low end services is 33%, and high end services is 35%. So this market is a very complex market, and the way the purchasing was done traditionally was very different. Now technology has emerged and things have changed, right. So, given the complexity of the decision making units, it is very difficult for the telecommunication equipment service providers to identify and reach the key decision makers. So, who, as we have seen in the B2B case, in the B2B market, that decision making is a joint decision making, and there is one or two people or positions which are very important. So, that has to be identified. Who is that most important person in the decision making process? In addition, traditional marketing channels might not be suitable or cost effective for this complex sales, right. So, because this is a complex kind of a sales, because lot of B2B sales are generally complex. So, the traditional mechanism is not going to work. Now, from the buyer's perspective, it is difficult to timely and accurate get accurate product information from the thousands of vendors and consultants in the market, making it riskier for the buyer, right. And the buying process also happens to be very long. So, sometimes the buying process can range from weeks to months, maybe from 18 to 20 months also. Okay. And the buying, the buyer can spend up to 5 million, it was seen in this case that they are spending up to $5 million for to make those buying decisions. So, all these things are very troublesome. Now, the company Telezu and company, after observing the complex and highly inefficient procurement process in the telecommunication market, they decided that the company will provide a better procurement solution. So, you can compare it with something like Udaan or India Mart in India or Amazon Business, Flipkart, anything. So, they also created they thought of creating a or providing a better procurement solution with the help of the internet, right. So, they had seen that the market was $1.3 trillion, which was huge, right. Now, how do you just systemize this business? So, this is a huge business. If you can systemize it and you can create a good platform, you can make lot of money out of it, lot of profit out of it. Okay. So, they developed these founders, they developed an interactive catalog that compared product descriptions and features from a wide variety of vendors across a broad section of the product categories. Okay. So, a different wide variety of vendors for a different kind of, for each product there were different kinds of vendors, different number of vendors. All this information was available through one central repository, so which made things easier. Now, the company's website was organized hierarchically by product category and allowed for quick searching. So, you can go through the product category and you can search quickly. The solution addressed the large amount of time spent during the information gathering stage of the procurement process, right. So, the solution that it gave, it addressed that problem which companies were finding initially, that they were spending a lot of time and it was spending a lot of money on this. So, about $5 million and up to, it was going up to 18 months, 20 months of time. So, all this could be minimized, could be reduced, the time spent could be reduced, right. The procurement process was more systematically done now and they could take less time. The key advantage was this, was that this company permitted an apples to apple comparison among the vast array of product and service offerings. So, what was the initial trouble? The trouble was that people were comparing one product with some different variety of product. Now, generally that can happen if you do not have the clear understanding, it can happen. So, they did lot of research, and they found out which product should be compared against which product. Now, after doing that, they gave an opportunity to the buyers to just go through the site and see which product they wanted, and against that they could see similar kind of products and who were the vendors and everything. Okay. TNZ offered benefits to the buyers and the sellers. Now, the buyers had the ability to view the unbiased information of the multiple suppliers. They could compare the similar products, right, across the various vendors and all. Received the customized bids from the multiple suppliers, that saved their time and effort in the entire procurement cycle. So, this was what the buyers got. What did the sellers get? The suppliers. The suppliers benefited by cost effective access to the qualified sales leads, right? A shortened sales cycle, a platform to advertise, and they could understand the buying behavior through by using the market intelligence tools, right. So, they could do some data mining, right, on that. Now, after understanding this case, right, let us have a few questions and try to answer them. The first question says, what should be the positioning strategy for TZ and Company? So, you have understood what Telezoo and Company is doing. So, what should be the positioning strategy they should have? Second question is, what based on the positioning, can we calculate the size of the potential market, right, for the TZ and Company? Third, what pricing strategy should this company adopt? And fourth is, how should the company reach out to its customers? Each question, let us try to answer each one of them. So, what should be the positioning strategy for the company, right? So, now we can see that there is a space for a player that specializes in procurement, right, of the high end products and services. So, because there was hardly anybody in the market, so this was a great opportunity. Now, the company can target this section and this segment and work on it, right. So, this strategy will be called the focus differentiation, and it complements to the company's capabilities and its environment, right. So, there is a huge market and the company has an had researched it well and they have created the capabilities around it. So, the focus differentiation strategy would be the best strategy for this, right. Now, the second question was, based on the positioning, what should be the size of the potential size for the market, right. Now, the total market size was 900 billion, right, out of which the large businesses are 35%. So, which is 900 into 35, and high end offerings were 35 plus 15, which is 50%. So, that comes to about 157.5 billion. So, this market potential that they have, TZ and Company has, is about 157.5 billion, right. What should be the pricing strategy that they should adopt? So, the company should let the buyers become members for free initially, but then they can charge the sellers for accessing the repository of the buyers, the data and information and all, for getting listed on the platform or for placing an advertisement on the platform. So, the best pricing strategy that we are recommending is a value based pricing for the company. Okay. And finally, how should the company reach out to its customers? So, given the nature of the business to business market, right, the company should go for these four methods. The first, digital marketing. So, like search marketing, social media marketing, email marketing, they should adopt this. Then have their own sales team who can reach to their potential clients and create leads out of it, right. Then participate in trade shows, and finally telemarketing. So, maybe this four is like we have given all all these four can be used, but the focus can be more on maybe the first two, like digital marketing and their own sales team, right. So, these strategies can be used by the company to reach their potential customers, right. So, with this we will wind up this case here, right, and then we have come to the completion of this course also. So, I think you got an idea about this course now. So, complete what is this course about and how it is going to be helpful to you. So, with this I will wind up my lecture. Thank you very much and take care. Bye bye.